go ahead and call our agenda session to order, please. All right, we're going to start out with a presentation by the SSC team. Take it away.
Good evening. Thank you for your time. Make sure this puppy works. Here we go. Today I wanted to...
Sorry, mate. Do you mind to... Thank you.
Is that better? Yes. All right. I feel important now. Wanted to take the time to, as I've done in previous meetings, share a bit of high-level update of where we are and state of things for us in the custodial department. While this says quarterly business review, it's more of an annual from June to current as we close out year one. We're going to talk about a few things today. As I said, high level, summer, staffing, some of the challenges we've had, some data related to our logbook and Clean Intelligent, and then I want to kind of share with you where we are in terms of dollars and cents. We were purposely very transparent early on in the process, and I wanted to kind of let you guys know where we are now. From a staffing standpoint, on the custodial side, we're about 26 FTEs short. We cannot break that number. I mean, the ebb and flow is ridiculous for us. And on the ground side, we hover around that 8 mark. What I can tell you on the grounds piece and our subcontractor, he is pulling folks as needed as we get into growing season. So don't let that 8 scare you. We're going to make sure the job is done however it needs to be done. He's committed to do that. And then from a custodial staffing standpoint, I'm going to share some things that we've done later on in the presentation to attract, retain, and recruit. Before I get there, I wanted to share our organizational chart. You'll see we've got 2 open management positions in Midtown and the Missionary Ridge area. Happy to say those have been hired and they're being onboarded as we speak. So as we go into summer clean, we'll have a full staff of management. It's going to be critical as we get moving throughout the summer. Wanted to share a highlight of one of our managers, Sabina. She's been a rock star for us. If you've had the chance to come across her during your rounds, please take the time to thank her and have a conversation with her. We initially interviewed her for a custodian position and found that she was one of those informal leaders, and we made the right call on that one. A bit of an interesting piece, we have had 0 complaints from her learning community since June when she started. Now, I don't know what she's doing, but I'll take it. Our Work and Win winners, these are our Service Heroes program. This, for all intent purposes, is a recruiting and retention effort where we rewarded people for perfect attendance. These are some of our winners here. Pretty proud of this program. We've seen a difference with this program in terms of retention. And the gifts that were given out ranged from the beginning of the program from $25 all the way up to an all-inclusive trip for 4 for the winner. So it was a pretty big deal. We had so much success through the data, talking with our CEO a few weeks ago, and we plan to do another round in the fall. One of our other programs, GEM, Great Employees Make Magic, this is ongoing. This is a program that Shimshan and his team nominate hourly employees for key KPIs such as customer service, how they respond to the duties for the day, time and attendance. So these are some of our winners here in the community. This also is a monetary award, common theme there. They have really, really liked it, and we've actually seen as a company our retention, this changes the retention by about 15% or so. We've been able to track the data, so we're going to keep doing this. And as I said, this is something that Shimshan and his team nominate on a bi-monthly basis. Moving pretty quickly into our summer projects. As you all know, we have a lot of work to do in a short amount of time around a lot of obstacles. Actually, we're having a call tomorrow with Dr. Sharp around the process and what it's going to look like. We've already have a schedule in place. Here's an example. We have a schedule in place by learning community to include summer school and where we need to be at what times. We're going to keep a Gantt chart real time so that everybody is on track. This is a pretty big deal for us, getting out of the fumbling a bit of last summer, being new to the areas and to the building and to the people. We feel really good going into this summer with this plan. So getting started the day school ends. Some of the challenges we've had in year one, and I don't think this is a surprise for anybody. I think they've been experienced in all lines of service, any type of service. Supply spend was through the roof, from not just the cost of goods going up, but of course, the supply chain and all of those things. We weren't impervious to that. We've had to deal with those challenges. I'll share some dollars and cents with you later, but the bottom line is we think we've done a good job managing it and making sure. I have gotten text and/or calls from time to time saying that we're out here. The good thing is every time I go and I'm here and I look in the warehouse, we're full. So it's a matter of management and perception. We're working on that. We think that'll get better. The job market has been a challenge. We have literally to date, and this includes the folks that have transitioned, over 1,000 individuals have gone through our system to apply for a job. And I'm still 26 short. I say that to say we're keeping on track and we're going to continue to do what we have to do through the programs that I shared with you. But I don't know where folks are. We're looking for them too. So if you know some good folks, send them our way. And then meeting expectations. This was probably the biggest one. And if you recall early on in my presentation, before we became business partners, I talked about mutual accountability. The meeting expectations, I think, for us in year one went on both sides. It was what does every individual principal and school need, because they're all very different. The volume in them is different. But also what we need from you, building users, in terms of communication, expectation, what do we consider looking good kind of thing. So that was one of the challenges, the biggest challenges through any change, and one of the main ones that we had in year one. So first anniversary, we're happy about that. Couple of bullet points here. Some of the things that we were able to do is, as you well know, we have Mean Green, our subcontractor that does janitorial within the district for us. We contract directly with him. So we're not talking about supply spend and dollars going that way. We're talking about actual spend with his company. It's been a great partnership so far. Again, some bumps and bruises, learning, growing pains, but we're doing well together. And then the local spend. We actually purchased half of our fleet locally here. So that's money going right back into Chattanooga. Our logbook usage and the communication, I think we're really comfortable with the rhythm that we have. I'll share some data with that here shortly, but we pushed out communication on all sides, whether it's my managers rounding with principals and building users, availability of the logbook, and we also pushed out a survey monkey to all of the teachers. And I'll share that information with you. And then finally, management and associate development. Sabina is a perfect example of that. We've got quite a few people that we're proud to say have kind of grown up through the ranks with us since we've been here. Some data with our logbook. Since October, we started right after we came back from school. We did some training classes. We really started seeing the logbook being used in October. This is the device that's used for immediate needs. I got a spill, I need my trash emptied. Kid got sick. This is the data directly from that. It's linked directly to the managers, and as you can see, we're able to capture the data we need on it. A bit of fluctuation. Don't know what happened in February, but on average, we're looking at about 50 entries within that a month, with the top issue being cleaning needs, as I just talked about as an example. Cleantelligent, that is our internal quality assurance program. The graph on the right displays how many surveys have been done since we've been back to school in each learning community. Graph on the right talks about The right axis is your APA scale. If you recall, we should be at an APA 2 throughout the year, APA 1 when we come back from summer break. The thing I will say about this, our APA average right now seems to be about a 1.5. I'm putting some pressure on the management team. I think our average should be a little higher. We should be more critical of ourselves. This is a tool that we need to use to find things and fix problems. So I would say to you, coming back into the next school year, that's going to be a bit higher. We should be a bit more critical of ourselves, if that makes sense. And then the instruction to the management team is every time they go into a building, they are to inspect whatever they're there for. I mean, it can be the hallway, it can be this room. It's an app used on the phone, cloud data, so they can. It's pretty seamless to use. So the expectation is for inspections to go up and our APA average to actually go up because we should be more critical. Our principal surveys, talking with Dr. Robertson earlier this year, we wanted to find an outlet for the teachers since every teacher didn't have access to the logbook, and that was intentional because it would kind of skew the data. We turned what was normally our principal surveys and we sent them out to every teacher. And I think there are other building users too, don't quite know the titles, but we sent them out to everybody. On average, you can see we've sent about 5,000 a month, and the returns have not been that great. I mean, it's about 4.5% on total. So I got to have a different conversation with Dr. Robertson and Dr. Sharp about how we continue, because the data is only good if folks send us the information. This is not about a I got you moment. This is about quantifying what we consider success or failure. So just to kind of run through it, the sends are the actual emails that go out from our corporate office. I can tell, as an example, in January, out of those 5,000 surveys, 1,000 were opened. 371 people just clicked on it and left it alone. 148 of them bounced back. So that could be changes in, positions or what have you. And then 10 in January said, I'm done, don't want anything to do with it. So this is the kind of data I look to, as I talked about early on in our relationship, I look to share. This is how we quantify what we do. Go ahead.
Surveys returned, that's what you've received back? Is that what you mean by surveys
Yes,
returned? That's
yes.
how many completed surveys you
Somebody
received?
filled it
Okay.
out and took the time to send it back, yep. So on average, for the last 4 months, we've sent out 20,000. We've got less than 1,000 back, so that's about 4.5% return.
Can I talk?
Absolutely. Mrs. Hill?
It sounds to me like you're telling me our buildings aren't clean and it's our fault because we didn't fill out surveys. And that mutual accountability was that we didn't tell you what looking good means and we didn't fill out surveys. And that doesn't sit with me. So help me understand if that's what you're telling me, because what I saw was y'all haven't, you came to us and you said, here is what a level 2 APA clean looks like.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my job to know what a level clean APA 2 looks like, but you told me it was going to be like a hotel. And I'm not hearing from my teachers and my principals that that's what their schools look like. Now, and then I see that y'all have Rock Point at a 2 APA, and I'm like, how is it that I got a principal telling me her building is, quote, disgusting? Is there a mismatch? And what I'm hearing you say is you all didn't have a good conversation about what looking good is. So this is more than we're not filling out enough surveys. And I would say from the data that I see here, you've got a pretty solid amount of data as it relates to benchmarking. The fact that you've got a 22 on average open rate for a vendor newsletter, I would say you, as a business, your e-commerce people would be telling you that's a pretty solid open rate, and probably that your survey return rate, while low, is exactly what you could expect it to be. So if you want more surveys returned, you got to do more than just email. And maybe that's where you're headed with Dr. Robertson. But help me understand that it's not our fault
Sure.
that our buildings aren't at the APA levels they should be.
Yeah, so that's the exact opposite of what I intended to communicate to you.
Well, now you sound like my husband.
Oh, well, hey, I got a wife too. I'm a smart man. I'm a smart man, at least when it comes to home. The reality, what I'm trying to communicate to you is we have several levels of communication and quality assurance. This is one of them. This is the external one. I'm not expecting you to tell me what APA 2 is. If you recall, when we talked about the challenges, that was one of the challenges we've had this year, is meeting the expectations and helping you and me to understand what we feel clean is. It's a subjective business. So I need all of the input that I can when you're unhappy through all of the things that I've talked about so that I can meet the need. That's what I'm saying. I'm simply presenting the data, right? And if you recall on the previous slide, the APA ratings and inspections here, this is introspective. So we should be a little more critical. What I'm saying is when they go in and Rock Point is at a 2.0, I don't want to see a 2.0. I want to see a 4 and a 5 because I want to know that you've gone out and found problems and fixed them. And again, that's meeting expectations. That's what Shimshan and team should be talking about when they're with your principals and with your building users, is that please be critical and share what your needs are. I'm collecting the data so I can connect the dots. Does that help?
It makes sense, yeah.
Then finally, wanted to talk about, from a transparency, the detailed pricing. Our contract price is $12.8 million. We talked about that. That's a big number. But it also includes the wages and all of the expenses needed to do the job that we need to do. I wanted to share with you that from our perspective in year one, we found some aha moments. We found some anomalies. And as a partner, we did not come back to you and say, I need more. I told you I wouldn't do that, and I didn't. And I also wanted to share with you where we were and what that looks like from a dollars and cents perspective, because I believe that's important for you to see. As an example, contractually, we're being paid a wage to pay our hourly employees $13 an hour at a minimum. We're paying about $13.30 on average, and that's over 200 some odd employees because, as you well know, it takes a little more to get somebody up on the mountain than it does to get them over to another learning community. Have not come back, nor will I come back and say, I need. I just want to demonstrate that we continue to try to be a good partner to the district. As another example, one of the things in that we presented to the board was a shared recruiter and admin. We realized that we needed one of each. That's an expense that we said, look, we need a dedicated recruiter to be here doing this. It's just no way in the world. So this, again, high-level buckets of where we are. The billboards, hopefully you've seen those, the electronic billboards on 24 and 75 that are about recruiting. Those are things that we've said we realize that there's a need and we want to take it upon ourselves as a partner to do what we need to do. That's all I have. Questions?
All right. No questions?
Ms. Robinson,
Yes,
can I get
absolutely.
Val, could you just give a quick, just for the board members to hear and for the public to hear going into the summer, just so we'll all be on the same page, kind of, again, how you do the team rotations?
Yep. That's why it was so critical for us now to be talking about summer clean. Actually, these conversations started happening at the beginning of the year. There will always be someone present in buildings. Typically, that's your day porter. They will always be there. The difference with our staffing level during the summer is that we work in teams so that we can get a high volume done in a short period of time. That's the major difference around how we work during summers and holidays.
So in essence, you're probably going to get phone calls from principals saying we don't have
That is true.
anyone other than our day porter in the building. What's happening is the rest of the custodians may be going to school A, stripping floors, then going to multiple schools, stripping floors, basically doing a loop around the district to get this done.
We will also share that schedule with all of those folks. We got a list at the beginning of the school year of those folks deemed building contacts. this schedule in detail with the Gantt chart around where we are in the building, color coordinated so that you can clearly see it. That will be shared on a weekly basis. So there will be no questions about where we are. Any other questions?
I have a quick question for
Sure.
you. You mentioned earlier that you're seeing about you've seen 1,000 applications come through,
Mm-hmm.
but you still got that shortage. I'm just curious, like, really just for my own knowledge, like, are there specific challenges aside from just the general hiring challenges that everybody's seeing right now? Are you guys like running into specific challenges that are unique to your business that's making it hard, like additionally hard to hire?
No, there are two things that stand out. The unique to the business is the type of work. A lot of folks think when they come in, it's easy. It's hard
Yeah.
work. And so that's one group of people that will come in and work a week and I'm gone. Not for me. Sometimes they don't even tell us. Most of the time they don't tell us. They
It's a
just
high
don't come back.
turnover.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a constant.
And it's a lot of the same positions. So we don't have high turnover throughout the district. Shimshawn has pockets that it's just one or two schools.
Yeah.
We can't keep that position filled. The other, quite honestly, is wage rate. I mean, wage compression has happened so quick, which normally took 5 to 7 years, has happened in a matter of 18 months. We found that, the point for us is about $15 an hour, where you get the individual that wants to take benefits and also be able to live. $15 an hour is about the number. We're at $13.34. So that's been a challenge, and we've had to be strategic about where we pay those individuals a higher wage. We even tried. If you're familiar with temp services, part of what they do is the employee doesn't get any more money, but it's charges on the back of that. So the employee may make $13, but temp service charging $25, right? We tried that ourselves. We tried to say, okay, within the district, I've got 20 positions, and I will pay you, Ms. Robinson, $20 an hour. It's for a specific amount of time. It's for a specific duty. Let's see if we can fill the gap.
So you're paying me $20, and the district's only paying you $13 for
Correct.
me. So
Correct.
you're losing $7.
Well, correct. Well, and there are ebbs and flows in that,
Sure,
right?
yeah,
And it's
but
a
it still
temporary.
doesn't work.
It's still a temporary position. If you want a full-time position with benefits and all of that, you need to come over at $13 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get people knock on the door for 20. We got maybe a dozen that came in and worked more than a week. So it's the market, and I think
I know
it's the
it's
service
challenging.
industry market.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get it. I see it too, so cool. I was just curious. All right, are there any other questions?
Ms. Hill, can I circle back to you and make sure I answered your question?
Yeah, you did. You
Okay.
did, and I thank you.
Okay. All right.
Thank you so much for your time, and I'm sorry there weren't more of us here.
It's okay. I'll do it again.
Yeah, come back next time. So
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
yeah, you might have been lucky. All right, we'll move on to our agenda discussion. All right, so looking at Thursday night's agenda, I'm not sure where the feedback's coming from.
Is it someone's cell phone? Your
Maybe.
microphone?
I'll put mine up just for the sake of. No. Okay. All right, so we're starting out Thursday with the pledge to the flag and meditation by Dr. Kelly Weiss, principal of DuPont Elementary School. And then we move into our exemplars of excellence. And we'll have presentations from the Hamilton County Partnership Network. We'll have a Future Ready 2023 update. And then we move into the consent agenda. Does anybody have anything on the consent agenda they want to discuss? No? All right. Then we move into administrative business matters. We've got a couple items from Penny Murphy. Or, I'm sorry, Penny Murray. I'm so sorry, Penny. Penny Murray. Anyone have any questions about those items? No? Okay. And then we move on to our new COO, Dr. Robert Sharp. Tuition rates. Anyone got anything on that? No? Man, this is easy. All right. Okay, and then we move into Neely's section. All right, very good. Mrs. Hill.
While we've got Kelly Kofelt here, I'd like some background and fill us in on the Chat Academy Charter School application, please. I have not had a chance to study it. Okay.
I'm happy to give you a brief summary. This is a proposed dual language, full immersion 6-12 school for our area, charter school. The proposed executive director is here tonight, Nolan McDaniel, and he is sponsored by a group out of Boston called BES, which is a nonprofit that sponsors and develops and then sponsors leaders to go and develop charter schools. And so he was sent to Chattanooga as a ripe area for charters, which I think we are. We all know that we've been growing in that area. And so this is his proposal. Some of the strength we saw in the application were a very strong governing board. They've got a great board director who is the YMCA, one of the chairs of the YMCA, very experienced. Some other board members are a UTC professor in Spanish, a Baylor teacher in Spanish, a finance person, and this is just the beginning board. Of course, they have to grow their board. Some of the challenges they're going to have, which we face as well, are hiring bilingual teachers. They are fully aware of that challenge and are planning to recruit from across the U.S. and abroad for those native speakers that they hope to hire. Mr. McDaniel's done a great deal of community outreach and really listened to the community, it sounded like to us, and felt that there was just a really big need for this and request, particularly from the Hispanic community in Chattanooga. It's definitely something unique to us.
Yeah, does anybody have any questions for Kelly? Yeah, I actually wondered, I don't know, is it okay if we actually ask Nolan to speak? Like, could we actually ask you to come up and we ask you some questions? Here's the reality of this. We get asked as a board to approve charter schools, and we never get a chance to interact. And so it'd be so great if we could talk to you directly, and that way we're not putting Kelly on the spot and playing telephone, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine. He is allowed
that okay
to
with
speak
you all?
to you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
And I know Mrs. Jones has a question to start out.
I was reading in the executive summary that it will be in 6 through 12 inclusive in the downtown part of Chattanooga that currently is designated District 4 and 5 primarily. So I'm trying to figure out where that is because I represent District 5 and nothing about my district is downtown.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out, are you really touching 5 or are you touching 4? Yeah, so can you tell me where you're located and then what schools? Well, then I can determine what schools you're touching.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it would be completely open enrollment, so any kid in the entire district could put their name into our lottery, and then it would be a blind draw for who actually gets to come. We are leaning more into the East Lake area just because the population demands of our model are that 50% of students would be native Spanish speakers, 50% would be native English speakers, and just demographically that neighborhood would more support our model because of those language needs. So that would be a primary neighborhood we would be looking at, but also looking to push into the South Side area, Alton Park area. So we say downtown, but we really mean more towards the southeastern part.
So that would be 4 and 6.
Okay.
Well, and actually,
But the question, but then I do have a follow-up to that.
the new 11.
Oh yeah, the new 11.
It's actually
probably.
the new 11.
Yeah, the new 11 and 6.
The new, actually, not. I don't even know if 6 anymore because 11.
So it's all
takes
new
up-
11.
yeah.
Okay.
Anywho, welcome.
But nevertheless, aside from that, because I mean we do represent all children, I'm not against charter schools. I'm not. I mean I do believe that they are a fair public choice option. I do, however, have concern about you coming. Well, coming from another place because we're the market for a charter program when charters do take our, in allowing an option, it does decrease populations in our traditional schools, which is always a concern for me because as charters come, and they will, I get that, and I've accepted that. Like I have a school now that has like 200 kids in it that could hold like 700 or 800 kids, but a lot of them are now in the charter system. So what does that look like for that school where those children are not in that charter system but could become a building issue for us to make a decision about? And so I struggle with that because I want the parents to have a choice, and I want the child to have the choice. But I also know that we're doing a lot of things here to make Hamilton County schools the choice. Let me say that. And so I struggle with that, and especially when it targets certain population. I don't know. I'm really kind of struggling.
Okay.
With your application. And I probably should have a conversation with you one-on-one. But I don't know. It just makes me iffy. And I'm born and raised here, so call me territorial. But I just really struggle sometimes when people come from other places and want to tell us what to do in our city or what's best for our city. Nothing against you, Mr.
No, maybe I should clarify that part.
Okay.
It probably became a little clearer when I started to talk that I'm not from Boston. I'm from East Tennessee.
Okay.
I was raised by a public school teacher that spent 3 decades in East Tennessee public schools as a teacher and as a principal. So I'm completely on board with you around support of public schools, that public schools do really great, important work. My mom is one of the greatest people I know and greatest educators I know. I'm just in a fellowship with an organization that is run out of Boston, but I'm from Tennessee. I was educated in East Tennessee, went to TK Law. So very much am tied to the East Tennessee community. I think because of all of the options that are already present in Hamilton County has a robust menu of school choice options that are really great and really unique. We spent time engaging with the community to ask, like, if there was an option that you don't see here, what would it be? And that's where this two-way immersion model came from, was that the only opportunity for that kind of model right now is at St. Peter's Episcopal, which is private, K-5. So we really were looking for a place that we could fit into the district while not trying to replicate something that was already here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you have a, okay. You want to go next? Mrs. Hill?
I'm agnostic about vouchers and charters and public, all that. My goal is that I want every kid to have the opportunity to have a great education and have access to it. So my concern about being from out of town and being identified as a city that's ripe for targets, for charters, I'm feeling a little bit like we were a town that had a lot of great support for soccer, and so they send in a Red Wolves franchise, disregarding things that were happening locally. And so as I see my role as a public servant and representative, I want to talk to you one-on-one, and I wish you would come to us a month ago or a year ago when I see that you spoke to families, community leaders, servants, elected officials, administrators, and teachers. This is the first that I've heard of this was when this showed up on my agenda. And it sounds to me like Caritza, that was an assumption it was in Caritza's district, and she hasn't been spoken to. So I'd like us to speak one-on-one so that I can understand, is this an opportunistic play, or is this something that is a true win for Chattanooga, or is it a sort of win for Chattanooga and a big win for a nonprofit group that's all over the place and we're paying a bunch of salaries other places? I want the full dog and pony show, please, so we can get together this week and do that.
Yeah. I just want to clarify that the nonprofit that I work for right now is just providing training to me as a school leader, because that's what I am, just a school leader, around finance, human resources. Like, all of the other parts that go into this process. That's what they're doing. They're not a part of our school or running it. I'm from East Tennessee and wanted to do this work in East Tennessee.
Okay, you are an individual who wants to start a charter school.
Yes, ma'am. And the organization our nonprofit is just Chat Academy Community Schools. We started a nonprofit specifically to do this work, myself and my board. This was not the organization that I work for. It's not starting this school.
Okay, well, I still want to talk, and I want the full dog and pony show. But
Yes.
that is helpful to understand, because that was not how it originally sounded. It sounded like we were getting a rocket ship.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I'm very
You
familiar
follow
with
me?
rocket
For
ship.
the public, rocket ship is a charter brand. It's not like an actual rocket ship. Cool T-shirts. Okay. Yeah, let's talk so
For
that.
sure, yeah. would
I
love
don't
to.
know why I'm so spicy tonight.
I'm gonna give you a pro tip, Nolan. Do not talk to her about your open rates, your email open rates, okay?
Okay.
She'll be all.
I was getting a little self-conscious about my own
Wow.
survey rates.
I'm nervous about mine. Okay, I do have some questions for you about your program.
Okay.
So, and transparently, Nolan did reach out to me actually a couple weeks ago, knowing that the school would open up into my current district, but we have not actually had a chance to meet because of travel and spring break and whatnot. So good to meet you. So Chris had asked about the location and more or less about where the students would be coming from. I think I have a good understanding of that, but do you actually have a building, correct?
We haven't purchased
okay.
or leased yet. We toured one today,
Okay.
which is right off Rossville Boulevard.
So when would the slated opening date be for this school? Are we talking
August
about 2020?
2023.
2020. Okay, so you've got a whole year.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotcha. All right. Can you tell me more about what a full immersion program looks like? Because I've got an idea of that, but I'm not so sure that my idea is what you mean.
Mm-hmm. So there's one-way immersion, which is what St. Peter's does. So that's all English-speaking students that are immersed in a Spanish-speaking environment to become bilingual.
Yep.
Our model is two-way, which requires that half the students are native Spanish speakers, half are native English speakers. They are simultaneously learning each other's language to get to a level, we call it comprehensible input, to where they can take academic content courses in the opposite language so that both groups graduate fully bilingual.
I mean, it's really interesting. I'm curious from the district's perspective, is a school like this a solution to the influx of Latino students that we have that, at Howard, we have a large influx of students coming in. Truthfully, like the space and the resources are very stretched. Then, does this school become an answer to that quote unquote problem?
I think both of us can address that.
Yeah, I love that.
In my years of education, bilingual education in the 612 space has not proven to be an effective learning strategy. It's predominantly been research-based at the K-5 level.
Okay.
And in those cases in particular, the kids catch up at about 4th grade, where they're both the same. And so there's been some research that suggests that kids that leave bilingual spaces early end up behind in both languages. So a 612 model, there's very little data around outcomes in a 612 space. That would be from my knowledge and experience.
I think there's another area that we have to explore in that Tennessee is an English only state.
Yeah.
So that is one thing that.
You need to turn your microphone, please.
Tennessee law
States that we're an English only state, so we are exploring through Diego Trujillo
Yep.
what that would look like
Yep.
for our district and
Okay.
for this work.
Okay. Yeah, and so Diego's been involved in this? Okay, and he's excited about it?
It's hard for me to speak
Oh, I
for
see.
Diego.
I can call Diego. Okay, that's really interesting. And that makes sense to me why there isn't a lot of study. I mean, you're right. Like, this is such a new concept that, I think I'm coming to the same conclusion. Like, it's difficult to find like a real live actionable or action concept like this that you can point to say like, yeah, this works. So why, so you tell me more about how this is going to work. Like,
Yeah. Our board is built very strategically to have experts around bilingual education on our team that can help provide oversight and build a program. Because to the point about 6 to 12, this is a space of innovation and figuring out how to make it work. So we have Dr. Lynn Perky, who is the department head of the Spanish department at UTC, and we have Elijah Anderson Barrera, who is the AP Spanish teacher at Baylor, who are both on board to figure out what this looks like in the 6 to 12 space. We've also met with people at St. Peter's at a company called Adelingua that specializes in bilingual education, as well as some schools across the state of Tennessee that are offering two-way immersion models in public schools, and have talked about ways to mitigate a 6 to 12. So our immersion model would actually kick into academic spaces in 8th and 9th grade. In 6 and 7, we would be exploring immersive opportunities in spaces like homeroom, advisory, elective courses where the stakes are a little bit lower and kids are not going to be required to test at the end of the year, because that's a reality of public education, is that kids are going to have to test in English at the end of the year. So we're looking at a scaffolded approach up from 6th grade to get kids to a space where they can learn in both languages.
Okay. Yeah, just my last question is, how do you envision the school being a good partner with Hamilton County Schools? You know, we're really lucky that we've got the department, Kelly's department, that really focuses on magnets and charters, I think, to create that alignment with our district. But I have watched, and even charter schools that I've supported over the years start to feel like there's a little bit of like this us versus them, and that's not what I want. That's not how I don't think the board wants that at all. But truly, we have set up our, school system to not feel that way. And so I'm just curious, like, how will you work as a partner of ours as a charter school if you receive your charter? Yeah,
definitely. I think Kelly has been a remarkable liaison, very transparent, very communicative. The process has been a pleasure to go through with Kelly as the liaison. I think because of who I was raised by, I'm always inclined to view this as a partnership, just because it's in my DNA to have a deep, deep respect for public educators, specifically in the state of Tennessee. I know how hard this work is, how important the work is, so would never have an us versus them disposition towards this work. I think every kid deserves a dynamic, incredible learning opportunity, and there are already so many choices here for parents to exercise that choice, which is why when we started talking to the community, it was so important for us to say, what other option are you looking for? And to really be something that is distinct and unique, so that we could innovate and then have discourse with district teachers, principals, employees, and say, this is what we're seeing that's working really well with our English language learners, or what are you all doing for your newcomer kids? There's a lot of great work going on at the Howard School, a lot of really incredible educators there that are doing really great work with newcomers. So I think that's where we see ourselves working in partnership, is we have something that's very different and very unique, but are also excited to learn from the other schools that are doing really great work around bilingual education and English language learners.
Anybody have anything else? Okay. Thanks for letting us put you on the spot.
Yeah,
really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks. All right. Moving on through our agenda, we also have item number 2 under Chief of Opportunity and Access, acceptance of additional Title III funds. Does anyone have any questions about that? I'm sorry, did you say that you do? No? Okay. All right. And then we have an update on the CSLA soccer field, or not update, I'm sorry. We have CSLA soccer field changed to artificial turf. We also have the proposed schedule of sessions from Dr. Robertson. You do? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, go right ahead.
I think the artificial turf is a great idea, but we know what that's going to do as soon as we get one of those out there. So what's our plans when other facilities ask us, and what part is Hamilton County Commission funds going to do this when we present it to them, or you present them, and then what is our commitment from the
So
education.
this is an add-on to the existing contract that the county commission approved last Wednesday, so they've already approved it as an add-on to the existing contract. This one's a little bit unique, Mr. Walker, and the reason it is because there's not enough space over at the current CSLA site to put practice fields, a soccer field, a football field. It's literally one field. And so that was the distinction between, Red Bank High School and the CSLA location, is that we're going to have literally one field for middle school football, soccer, high school football, soccer to be on. And so we felt like for, just the ability of the amount of play that it's going to get, the turf made sense. And we could look at the property that we purchased behind the school, adding another field there. I don't think that's the best use of that land right now, and if we did that, it'd probably be twice as expensive as this. So I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, because the next question, and I'm all for it. I'll say that any of our schools get a top-level facility like that. I'm all for it. I think it's the price on those have gone down over the few years. So when I opened it up, I thought it was going to be $800,000 or something. So no, we can talk to that if it's multi-use field and the maintenance is less than all the other things. But like I say, we're all going to get those questions and who's next kind of thing. So I'm all for it.
I'll go ahead and put out there who's probably next.
Can I
this
say it?
time.
Can I say who's next, Justin? Can I say who's next? Can I? Tyner is next. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
And so every new school, like going forth, we're considering those things, right?
I think it's something that we've got to consider. Just how do we lay out fields and what makes financial sense, what makes playability sense. I think there's also an opportunity, specifically if we do one at Tyner and you've got CSLA right down the road, there's possibly some income potential. And then we've got to talk to schools there about, how much do schools keep out of that, how much we put back into a fund that, 10 years down the road we'll repair those fields. But Tyner's going to be in a similar situation of not having enough space for practice fields.
With our new operations guy, I'm sure he'll look forward to having those calls.
Just come on over. Just come play your game at Tyner.
All right. Anything else on that topic? Anything else on that topic? Nope. All right, cool. All right, next is the renaming of Hickson High School softball stadium. Anyone have any questions on that? Approval of the fiscal year 2023 budget for presentation to the Hamilton County Commission. If we wanted to amend this, we need 2 board members. We need one.
You can bring it up Thursday.
Just bring it up
And if
Thursday.
the board decides to amend it, you can just vote on it.
All right.
Yeah, that we don't vote on it that night.
Okay. And then we will move into our delegations. It looks like as of right now, we've got 3 delegates. And then we have our next agenda session on May 9th at 5:30. We have our county commission budget presentation on May 10th. What time is that? Do you know? Probably at 9:30.
I think it's 9, but I'll
I think it's fine, but I don't think we've got the.
let you know.
Yep.
Okay. And then we have our May board meeting on May 12th, which is actually it's a week early because of graduation. All right. And then that's it.
Is the budget meeting at McDaniel Building?
I believe so.
Great.
Last year was at the courthouse.
I don't remember. It's been long.
We'll check.
Take time and
It's only at the McDaniel building, but great. That is it. Thank you.